Right now, I'm going to tell you the truth about small talk and let you know how a pro does it in both business and social situations. Welcome to the Charisma Matrix. Do you hate small talk? Well, that's because you're doing it wrong. Small talk is not there to be a waste of time, only to fill up space, to prevent awkward silences between you and other people you don't know that well. People always beef that, it's meaningless. No one says anything important. Nobody cares about the weather. But in actuality, it's not the words that you're saying that are communicating between you two. 90% of it is outside of the words you say. It's a sub-communication that you're using. So it's communicating things like, what kind of mood are you in? Your intentions for the conversation, how long you intend to continue. Do you want to keep talking to them? Are you happy to see them? What is your social status compared to them? There's a whole slew of information that goes back and forth that we just don't realize when we're not honed in to what's actually going on. So let's talk about how we can use this to our advantage to become a really elite small talker. First of all, in business, more specifically in a corporation. So the first thing I want you to do is completely lower the bar that you have for small talk. No one is expecting you to come up and recite some 60-second honed monologue like Jerry Seinfeld. You don't have to say something that cool. You don't have to say something original at all. If the conversation sounds something like this, "Hey Barry, how was your weekend?" "Oh, it's good. Nice weather out there." "Yeah, sure was. We'll see ya." It's not a big deal. Nobody's leaving that conversation thinking, "Oh man, he didn't have anything cool to say. That guy sucks." Not at all. Lower the bar and feel good coming out of that conversation because you accomplished what you're supposed to. Just touch base with someone to prevent that awkward silence and to prevent when you don't say something and there is a silence around someone, no matter what we individually assign to that silence, it's not a good thing. So the small talk must be used. Now, if you really want to be a better than average small talker, you want to try to individualize this. And this kind of comes along the same premise as people love it when you remember their name, when you don't know them that well. If you can remember one thing about them and throw your small talk question at them that's customized, it's going to completely change the tone, and people are going to begin to think more fondly about you because you're someone that cares about them. And, really, to remember they have a kid and they were thinking about going to Disneyland a month ago, does that take much? No. But it's these very small things that are different than everyone else that make you stand out and make you more memorable and make them remember you in a more fond way, a more personal, more empathetic way. So maybe instead of saying, "How was your weekend?" you say, "Hey Billy, did you get out on the Harley this weekend?" Okay, so you remember when you met him a month ago, he said he was getting a Harley or something like that. So the one thing you throw it out there, and maybe he says, "Oh, I never even ended up getting that thing." Well, fine. It's still a lot better than, "Hey, how was your weekend?" So remember, anything you can throw in with your question, do it. All right, so here's a little trick. What I want you to do the next time someone starts small talk with you and asks you a very mindless question, "How was your weekend?" Think in your mind, how can I express everything I'm feeling right now without using the words to back that whatsoever? So if you're feeling good, you're walking in there, you got a nice energy that day, says, "Hey, Barron, how was your weekend?" You say, "Oh, it was really nice. I actually got out there. It was 77 degrees. It was a good time. How about you?" What does that communicate versus, "I had a good weekend, it was sunny on Saturday"? It's just totally different vibe. People want to be around people with a positive vibe, and I'm not saying that you need to always fake or put on a full positive vibe, but just be aware that what you're communicating is the energy and all the sub-communication behind the words you're saying. The words you're saying make no difference whatsoever. So let's look at an example of energy and then customizing the small talk. So the most flat, dead thing you can do is ask the small talk question with very limited and poor energy. "Hey Jerry, how was your weekend?" Almost like a lot of people do it, like they're so obliged to do so. Like, God, do I really have to say, "How was the weekend?" Man, I can barely drag it out of my sick soul to ask that. "Hey Jerry, how was your weekend? How was your weekend?" How does that even feel? You're like, get out of here. Don't even talk to me. Or you can say with a little better energy, "Hey Jerry, how was your weekend?" Glad to see him, actually interested in an answer. If you look at a previous video I did about how to be memorable, it talks about how you want to be sure that the other person is aware that you really want an answer. So, hey, Jared, how was your weekend? Eye contact afterwards, not just asking it to throw it out there. And now lastly, let's look at some examples where we can use that good energy and tweak it just a little bit to be customized. So now you're hitting them on two fronts: good energy, you want an answer, and it shows you remember them, which creates empathy and rapport. So, hey, Jerry, I know you guys said you were going to Disneyland last week. Did you check out that new Harry Potter scene down there? I don't know what the Harry Potter scene is. I know there's a new ride or something down there, but get them confused. Throw out stuff that makes no sense. No, you say, hey, Jerry, I know you live down in Santa Barbara. I heard the brakes got really high over the weekend. Did you get out by the water at all? Hey, Jerry, I know you live down there in Santa Barbara. Did you get out for the Fiesta celebration this weekend? Hey, Jerry, the sun was peaking pretty high in LA today. Did you get that Mustang out and drop the top? Hey, Jerry, did you and Ann get out? I know you said you were thinking about doing something for dinner on Friday. Jerry, that's a nice looking shirt. I was actually looking around at some new ones at Banana Republic. Where'd you get that one? That fits nice. All right, now let's talk about a situation where you're not talking to people that you've met before. It's completely new. Maybe you're at an annual corporate meeting where they're bringing in people from all over the world. What people want to get out of small talk now is different than just the morning small talk. So what people are trying to get is, what is your status compared to them in the company, and what do you do? Meaning, is there any connection between you two? Might you share information? Basically, might continuing the conversation benefit you or he? Now, if you've heard me talk before, I speak a lot about the interaction equilibrium. And the premise of that is that nobody is really too interested wasting their time talking to someone else that they feel is much more low status than them. It's just wired in our DNA to not want to do that. So one of these conferences like we're talking about, well, maybe someone doesn't have the same status as CEO, but maybe he is an engineer that's been specializing in some technology that CEO is really trying to learn about. Well, in that instance, the social status is much different, but they're aligned on what they're working on, so there can be mutual benefit from the conversation. So basically, be aware when other people are talking to you, and when you're talking to them. That's really the most important thing to do. Sure, if it's a cocktail hour and you're feeling kind of nervous and you got to get out of your head, you can use some of the tips I use with how to start a conversation with anyone like that. But you should also, to be maximizing your time and your connections at these things, be trying to discern the exact same thing. What is this person's status? How high is he in the company? Are we at a similar level? Are we working on some things that by continuing this conversation may be beneficial to both of us? So two kind of different examples of small talk. One of them is just, people that you're just filling the time. And another one is small talk to kind of learn something about the other person to see if you want to pursue that conversation. All right, so the three biggest tips we learned today. Number one, small talk exchanges communication behind the words. Don't worry about the words, but understand you're communicating with the energy that you use. Number two, we need to be very aware of the expressiveness when we get into small talk dialogues with our first question. Jerry, how you doing? How's your weekend? We're going to present good energy, and we're also going to make eye contact after the question to let them know that we're actually interested in what they have to say, not just throwing it out there because we feel obligated to. And lastly, we're going to customize it with any bit of information that we have about them. He has a motorcycle. It was nice this weekend. Jerry, did you get out on the motorcycle? Not that hard. Put it to use. Hit the like button if you like this. Subscribe if you haven't already. Leave me some comments below and let me know how you use this in your life. I'll talk to you soon.